People were talking all over Palestine about the miracle-working power possessed by Jesus. By the time of our text, he's very well known. He's widely sought after because of his power to work miracles. There was a nobleman in Capernaum whose world had crashed into the depths of despair. This nobleman was a member of the royal family. He was probably a close relative of King Herod Antipas. He was called a nobleman, translated in Latin Regulus, or little king. In Latin, basilicus, or lesser king in Greek. He was probably a high official and a man of great influence in the court of Herod the king. He was a powerful man, but all of his power and all of his wealth could not insulate him from the piercing tragedy that intruded into his life. His son was sick. His son was in the process of dying. He had only one son, because he did not say, one of my sons is sick. He said, my son is sick. You know how much a parent can love a son or a daughter. From the moment of their birth, and even before their birth, they carve out a place in our hearts that only they can fill. And that culture magnified the importance of a son. It was a son who perpetuated the family bloodline. It was a son who perpetuated the family name. It was a son who succeeded as heir of the family, or head of the family, and heir of the family wealth. It was a son who conducted the affairs of the family. It was a son who cared for the parents in their old age. And in royal families, it was especially necessary to have a son, because sons usually inherited whatever office their father had occupied, and thus they were able to perpetuate the well-being of the family. This man's son was dying. I'm sure that the boy had the best of care. I'm sure he had the best diet. Every provision had been made for his protection, and the best of doctors had used the best of their skills to bring about his recovery. But all to no avail. The son was sick, and the son was dying. But it was about this time that the nobleman realized that Jesus had returned to Cana. And he rushed from Capernaum to Cana to seek the help of Jesus. The city of Capernaum was about a day's journey by foot from Cana. And I imagine this represented a major departure from this nobleman's normal way of doing things. Being a nobleman and an officer of the king, I'm sure he usually summoned anybody that he wanted to see to come to him. He did not go to them. But this was a matter of such urgency, a matter of such importance, that he himself stopped his life, brought his business to a halt, brought his affairs to a halt, and traveled from Capernaum to Cana to go and find Jesus. He traveled to a different city. He changed his schedule. He spent time doing something that had nothing to do with his professional life. His life was turned upside down, and his normal routine was absolutely disrupted. Have you ever had an experience that changed the whole nature of your life? Have you ever experienced something that brought your life to a halt? Everything stopped and nothing could move until you dealt with that crisis that stood before you in your life. Have you ever had something that happened that would constantly aware of our priorities, and they ought to be built around those things that are really valuable and important in our lives. We've had hundreds of thousands of acres and square miles of land and forests to be burned down in California in the last several days. And I was very interested in hearing what people, when they found out they were going to have to evacuate their homes, what they went and got, what they thought was important to them. And many of those people, when they heard that the fire was coming, they had to evacuate. They couldn't carry much of their possessions with them. They had to just rush away. They went and got pictures of their families, pictures of their children, pictures of their wedding and special times in their lives. And they said everything else may burn up, but I just want this. I want these memories that I can save. Trouble can sometimes sort out what our priorities ought to be. It's good to sort out your priorities in the absence of trouble, but most people don't really get down to the bare essentials until trouble comes. And so this nobleman had trouble in his life. And he was impacted emotionally, he was impacted mentally, he was impacted physically, and he traveled a day's journey to Jesus and said, Jesus, come to Capernaum and heal my son. Jesus responded, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. Jesus was confronted by a recurring discomfort regarding the nature of his relationship to the people who were around him. And his words in that instance was not directed as much at the man as they were directed at the people who were around the man. And there were many reasons for Jesus' discomfort. He said, number one, I'm uncomfortable because it seems that you people consider miracles to be a foundation for belief. Miracles should not be just considered to be a foundation for faith or a foundation for belief, because the Bible teaches that there are demonic forces that can work miracles. And what might seem to be a good manifestation may not in truth be a foundation for belief. Other factors have got to be considered. Jesus said in Mark 13 and 22 that false Christ and false prophets will rise and show signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Don't let every heathen evangelist that comes to town cause you to leave your church and disregard your home church, running after miracles, running after signs. Somebody ought to pray with me tonight. But Jesus was uncomfortable because they considered signs and wonders to be a foundation for belief. But he was also uncomfortable because of their focus on miracles, because it meant that they were attracted more to what he could do for them than they were to Jesus himself. Is there anybody in here who loves Jesus himself? Is there anybody here who would say, Lord, you might not work the miracle, but I just love you anyhow? Oh, bless the name of Jesus. No one is pleased when people are interested in him or her only for what they can give. Some of you in here are mad tonight, upset, because you found out that somebody rather than being interested in you were interested in what you had or what you could do for them. All of us desire some kind of reciprocity. Those who relate to you only because of what you give will stop relating to you when you stop giving, or when you run out of something to give. But how many of you want somebody just to love you for you? How many of you want somebody, Jesus wanted somebody to love him for him. And while they were seeking miracles, Jesus constantly saw the shadow of the cross looming before him. He knew that he was going to die for the sins of the world. He